What's up, ladies and gentlemen? So, drive time again. Now, this one is kind of a carryover from the last video I did. And the last video I did was how to maintain your physique and how to reverse diet once you've got to your fat loss goal, if that was your primary goal. Now, this one is about how to measure your progress when trying to get bigger. So for those of you who want to grow muscle, you want to get a little bit thicker in certain places, how do you then measure that progress in such an easy way? Because ultimately, when you're trying to get lean, it's very, very easy to measure your progress. You can see it day by day, week by week. You can measure body fat, things like that. And it's a relatively, in the grand scheme of things, quick process. But when you are trying to build muscle, what do you then do? How do we measure that? First things first, you hear me repeat this all of the time. It's important to understand that getting lean before you build muscle is vital. It's something I would really highly advise you do. So get shredded before you start to get lean. Your body will use food better and you're going to be able to gain tissue much, much faster. Secondly, in order to help with the mindset shift, which I have done in previous videos, so you can go and check them out, understand that fat loss is the first stepping stone towards your goal. If you hold on to fat loss as your primary goal and you think that's the kind of be all and end all and the final product you want, you're going to really struggle to then diet up in order to build muscle. So try to bear that in mind. Fat loss is a stepping stone, it is not the end goal. So with that in mind, how do we then measure progress when we are trying to build muscle? Many ways. Number one, the first thing I would usually suggest is that you look at your numbers in the gym. Are they progressing? Are they going up? There's a pretty good chance that providing you are still improving the major lifts, squats, deadlifts, rows, bench, pulls, then you're probably going to be building muscle. Second thing, if you want to go to this level of detail, you can take girth measurements. i.e., if you're trying to grow your arms, measure your arms. If you're trying to grow your legs, measure your legs. What I would say there though is don't go measuring them weekly, because you're not going to see any difference weekly. You're not going to then be able to remain motivated, because even though you may be doing the right thing, you're not seeing the instant results that we all want, that immediate gratification, and that's probably going to cause you to lose focus. So maybe monthly would be a good call. Measure yourself monthly, measure the girth of the target muscles monthly to see that they are growing. That's another really, really good option. The final one, and the one that I tend to go for because it is the most simple, and ultimately when it comes to tracking, you want to keep things as simple as possible. And if you can do that, if you can keep things really, really simple, you're going to do it far more often, you're going to be doing it better, a better execution, etc. So measure your weight. Once you have got down to your leanest desirable body fat, the way where you want to be, that doesn't mean as lean as possible, it means where you want your body fat to be. That's when we start going the other way. That's when we start to eat more. That's when we try to build muscle and we go into the more bodybuilding style cycles. Then what I recommend you do is you try to maintain that level of body fat thereabouts. It can be a little bit higher, can be a little bit lower, but you want to be within a stone's throw of it. And look for a weight increase of 0.5 to 1 kilo per month. Now, a natural lifter is going to be able to gain that much muscle lean in a month, and therefore that's going to give you 6 to 12 kilos in a year if you're being really, really consistent. So for me, the most effective way to know whether you are putting on muscle is, number one, are your lifts going up, major lifts? Number two, is your weight increasing by 0.5 kilo to 1 kilo a month, but your body fat staying the same? Now, don't get me wrong, it is possible to put on muscle faster than that, but you have to be seriously, genetically lucky, be committed. But what I'm talking about is the average Joe or Jane on the street, people with jobs, people with other things going on. Athletes, professionals, they can of course build muscle a lot faster, but manage your expectations and say 0.5 kilo to 1 kilo a month is a good target to hit when trying to build muscle. If you can be consistent on your diet, you can be consistent on your training and recovery, then that is easily doable. Other options, measure the girth of the target muscle, but don't measure them too often, otherwise you will find that that's going to negatively impact your motivation. Monthly will more than suffice. So when trying to build muscle, you're going to have to eat a lot of food. You're going to have to eat a lot of food consistently. Don't go skipping meals, don't go fasting. Make sure you're progressive on your lifts and measure your weight, gradually watching yourself increase while remaining at about the same level of body fat you kept when you're at the bottom of your fat loss goal, give or take. That is how I recommend you measure your gains. I know it's not necessarily the answer you were looking for, but understand that it is a long, slow process. Building muscle takes time, it takes sustained effort, it takes incredible consistency and massive amounts of patience, because it's not as gratifying as fat loss. The results are not as immediate. It can take you a year, 2 years, 3 years to really dramatically change your body shape when it comes to building muscle on a lean physique. It will get there for sure. You just have to be consistent and manage your expectations around that speed of progress. Hopefully this has been of some use.